Right now, I want to bring in podcast host Natalie Brunell. And of course, Natalie, what a wild ride, right? Bitcoin was about 34,000 just on Thursday. We almost hit 45,000 this morning. What's going on?
Yeah, hi, Charles. It's so great to see you. Well, what's going on here is the world is waking up to the fact that every form of money that exists right now, except Bitcoin, can and has been manipulated by political and centralized forces, especially during a crisis. And people are opting out. They're jumping ship from the traditional rails because I think they see cracks in the traditional system. They see that their money can be frozen, or they can be limited to how much they access or how much it's even worth from one day to the next because of decisions that are completely out of their hands. So why is Bitcoin climbing? I think it's because we're watching two systems collide. The old financial system that's dependent on manipulation and coercion and obedience to central authorities that are engaging in war. And this new system is emerging from the decay that is based on freedom and individual rights and hope. And I think people want a form of money that can't be exploited or debased by the powers that be, Charles. And that money is Bitcoin, which has very defined rules, but no rulers.
You know, and so because when all these things, I was rooting for the SWIFT action. I thought the central bank action was phenomenal. And as I was shaking my pom-poms, I kind of thought, golly, what if they ever shut my account down? Well, over 22 million was sent via Bitcoin. And it seems like it's opening up a new chapter with respect to the value proposition story, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, what other way can you send aid to someone with no remittance fees, no delay, no counterparty risk, and frankly, no one over your shoulder asking what you're doing and why? But more importantly, I think that people are just trying to help, and they see Bitcoin as almost a form of speech to protest what's happening in Ukraine, because the truth is very few people want war. Okay, politicians can wage war because they're behind the money printer, but do the people of these countries want war? You know, the politicians are subject to none of the challenges of the people that they govern.
Right.
And I don't think anyone wants war. They want economic freedom. They want the freedom to, have a chance to make their lives better for their families. And with each of these Bitcoin donations overseas to the refugees, I think that they have the chance to do that and to escape from the oppression of a government that's engaged in conflicts with one country or another country. People just want economic opportunity.
And freedom. Here's the thing, though. The old guard, like these governments you're describing, for instance, Mark Mobius, dissing Bitcoin right now, saying that Russia is actually using it or trying to use it to circumvent all of these other issues, and saying that's actually a good reason to own gold. What do you say to someone like a Mark Mobius?
Yeah, so I say that gold is still part of that old system that I mentioned that is fracturing. Much of it is centralized. It's not easy to travel across borders with it or protect it from seizure if you need to flee a country.
But what about the argument that Bitcoin is nefarious, that it's being used for nefarious means?
Well, certainly cash is being used for much more nefarious means. And I think, when you think of gold, certainly it's hard money. It can't be easily inflated. But Bitcoin is a better form of it, right? It's absolutely scarce. It's hard money for this digital world that we live in that can be transmitted to anyone on an open software network that can't be controlled, influenced, or seized by any political power. So gold is old, Charles.
Natalie, let me ask you, because I got 30 seconds and they're kind of like asking me to get out of this thing. Early last year, a year ago, everyone said 100,000 easy by the end of the year. That didn't happen. What's holding it up now? When can we see 100,000?
Okay, so I think what's holding it up is the larger macroeconomic picture. Our economy slowed down. Everyone's on edge for rate hikes. One wrong move and we can send us into a recession or a bust. And frankly, not enough people understand Bitcoin. So I think people are putting too much trust in a system that is $30 trillion in debt, dependent on the global reserve currency of the dollar, while other countries like Russia and China are building parallel systems, their own digital currencies to subvert SWIFT. And I think we have some choppy waters ahead until our political leaders wake up to Bitcoin and the competitive advantage that America would have with it, because we've fumbled our way into this position by allowing capital to drain overseas,
right,
weakening the dollar at the expense of the average American to the benefit of the powerful and the rich. And I think Bitcoin is the one thing that can help us with that. And when that happens, when people realize it, it'll get to 100K.
I got to tell you, it looks like it's starting to happen right now. Just what's happened in the last 72 hours or so. Natalie, thank you very much. Appreciate it as always.